Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It is your Caped Crusader, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our new friend, Oscar Garza. We're here to break down his latest indie comic, Mashbone and Grifty, and everything in between. Oscar, welcome to the stream. Fresh off the press from San Diego, man. How have you been?
Yeah, I got that. I still got that San Diego funk on me. It's really nice. It smells good. I didn't like the COVID part, but you know, you got to take the bitter with the sweet, you know?
Oh, man. Oh, no. So you ended up coming down with COVID afterwards?
Yeah. I mean, I spent the past year and a half or 2 years kind of hermit, you know, I almost said hobbit, but not hobbit, hermiting. And then I hobbited and went on the grand adventure. And then I got it over there. So if there was I don't know if there's like an opportune place to fuck up and catch. Oh, I'm sorry.
You can cuss. Feel free.
Okay. I don't know if there's an opportune place to fuck up and catch COVID, but it was San Diego Comic-Con. So at least I'm not saying it was worth it. I'm just saying it was all right.
So yeah, outside of COVID though, you know, how was it? You know, for anyone who hasn't gone to San Diego, what type of experience is that?
It's pretty much almost like those movies that people make when they run into Comic-Con. Like, it's wacky. It's amazing. The booths are super cool. The merch is nuts. And the best part is that we had a booth for our silly book that me and Rolando Esquivel, my writing partner, have been making for the past, 5 or 6 years, selling them out of the trunk of our cars. And we had a booth next to Marvel. It felt like living the dream. It was nuts.
Dude, a come up story, man. That is, let's start diving right into that though. So, let's begin with you as a creator. How did you start, making your break into comics?
I was a happy child growing up. Oh wait, no, let's not go that far back. So how we started is just me and Rolando Esquivel, my writing partner. We just liked talking shit about comic books and wrestling, and we just became best friends in the 7th grade. And eventually we just started making stories up to make each other laugh. And then in college I came up with these 2 characters, and I had a base for them, their look, their names, their what they want to do with themselves. But it was just missing stuff. And it wasn't until Rolando just started coming over and helping me out with that things really started to take shape. And we had all these ideas. Maybe we'll do like a animated series out of it, because I went to college for animation. And it eventually started boiling down to what can we just do, me and you, right now, that can become a tangible object, that can become a real thing. And it's a comic book. And it took a while for us to figure that out. And it was kind of I don't want to say dumb, but we should have figured it out a long time ago, because we were just a bunch of comic book dorks going, reading comic books in our spare time. And then we have this thing that we love to do and go, how do we send this out to the world? We don't know. And then it clicked, we make a comic book out of it. And off to the races. We just started making books, printing them, printing out these little black and white Tijuana Bible size books. I believe they're also called manga size. And selling them to anybody, putting them in local shops, and then eventually getting the table at a convention.
That's so cool. Not only that, but signing with Scout Comics as well.
Yes, we are very excited to be the first book out of the gate for Chispa Comics, which is a Scout Comics label that focuses on Latinx talent.
Let's
Latinx
go, man.
stories.
Congratulations, dude.
We're honored and scared to be the first one at the gate, because our book it's very different from anything you'll read. It's very out there. It feels old school, like this is some weird Sam and Max kind of black and white old school comics. It's not black and white anymore though, but it feels different. We're not doing Cape Comics, and we're not doing I don't know. It's just some weird shit, man. If you like those kind of old indie comics, if you like Rick and Morty, if you like those kind of that kind of adult comedy, you're gonna dig our stuff. If you like The Boys, if you like fun comedy with like gore, the occasional gore. Like our book is mature because of language, but we also have the occasional somebody explodes or melts or gets their head chopped off or something fucked up happens. Our book is about the comedy of the glory of excess. Without, we're bending that envelope. We're not pushing. We push it, and it bends for us, but it don't break. We're all having a good time.
I had the opportunity to read some of this, and holy crap! I mean, we were talking backstage, and I absolutely loved it. There was so much like just off the wall humor. I was like, man, like at first I'm like, are we talking about this dude's, you know what? And then it's like, no, it's like, what's going on here? And then he's like, never handled two cocks at once. I was like, yes, more of this.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Like the comedy is in the excess about, we're having fun with it in a, you're going to feel fun and safe and all that good stuff. But we're talking about dumb shit. It's Beavis and Butthead kind of dumb shit. The only difference is that these guys are maybe a little smarter than Beavis and Butthead, or maybe they're just a little older than them. So just there's some sheer stuff pops in, and they have good hearts. They're good boys, but fucked up shit does happen to them all the time. And like you said, the first issue, it's a 48. The first story is a 48-page dick joke, basically. But the early reviews that we've gotten for it have been pretty crazy. Like some people will read it and say, I love those dick jokes. It's funny stuff. And then another person will read it and say, this is a hilarious, sardonic take of the current geopolitical crisis that's happening on the border. I don't know where they got. I don't know where.
It's like two different parallels.
Yeah, but if that's what people see, then that's what people see. And yeah, man, we got geopolitical talking points in our book, I guess.
You're like looking like, man, we were just trying to make some dick jokes. Where did this all come from?
Yeah, I know it's weird, but I love it. I love hearing stuff like that.
So this was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, people. Art is like a mirror. People see themselves in it, and they'll gravitate to certain things in the book, and if it's positive, it makes you feel a certain way, then it's good.
Oh my god, am I gravitating towards a cock?
Don't feel bad. Everybody gravitates towards the cock, and we do it in such a fun way. In such a fun way,
So, was this like this was your first indie comic though, Mashbone and Grifty?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, holy crap, that is so awesome. So give us a little bit about these character designs. I'm getting a little bit of a Joe and Mac type of vibe. I figured you would know what I'm talking about. Yeah, a little bit of old school with the bones out of the ears. But what else inspirations did you draw from when creating this? Because you're the writer as well as the artist, but a co-writer, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm the co-writer along with Rolando Esquivel, and I'm the artist, and I do everything else in the book. I do the art, I do the lettering, the layout, things like that. Although Rolando has his job as editor as well. He helps me out a lot with the layout and things like that. Yeah, Joe, we don't really necessarily base it on Joe and Matt, but I played the crap out of that game. That was a lot of fun. Also, what was that other one, the one with the little monkey dude, Toki or Tuki? He would like spit fire sometimes. But anyways, the reason that our characters came about that way, I was a fan of sharp, angular design. I dug Jonan Vasquez's stuff when I was in college. I love the art of Carlos Meglia. He's one of my big influences. I loved anything he did. I ate it up. One of his Star Wars books really just blew my mind. I believe it was like a Star Wars bounty hunter book, and I just ate that stuff up, and it shows. I think it shows in my art. During college, I focused a lot on hands and feet, just because that was one of the things that they tell you. It's like, oh, you're an artist, let me see your hands and feet, and people always draw them in front of people behind like a rock that just so happens to be next to their feet, and everybody's in fists because you could do the little fist, and my art teachers, the life drawing teachers, were like, no, open them fingers up, let me see them. And so I spent a good year just focusing on hands and feet. And if you look at the hands and feet in my books, they're not realistic, of course, but they are proportionate and factual to the style of the characters. And I just love expressing myself through the hands and feet, and that's where Mashbone came in, because I was doing a lot of hands and feet in college, and I was watching Disney's Tarzan movie, which had just came out, and that movie is just bonkers. If you
that soundtrack is bonkers, dude.
Oh yeah, what was that guy thinking? He's like, let's do. We wanted you to do a soundtrack to the Disney movie Tarzan, and Phil Collins is just there, like, I'm about to like set the world on fire with this shit.
He's like, let me do a couple rails real quick. We're gonna pound this album out.
Yeah, for reals. I don't know what he was on, but it was, thank you for that. That stuff is good. Yeah, and I would pause the VHS back in the day for people who remember what a VHS was, and just like Tarzan was just rendered so beautifully in every frame. Like the anatomy of him, it was outrageous, and that something in there just clicked, and I just started drawing monkey people, and I based the face of Mashbone based on this little monkey guy that I used to draw in high school, and then we ended up taking a bone in his head just for weirdness sake, and yeah, off to the races with that guy. And there's a larger reason why he is. The main one is, for me personally, he's an outsider in his own city. Nobody really, it's not the topic of the book. He's just a weirdo. He looks out of place. He feels out of place. Him and Grifty don't really know where they fit in the city, which is why they try to become private detectives when they want to do something with their lives. And it has to do with, like, people in the valley feel weird. They're in this weird spot. They're right next to Mexico. Mexico doesn't consider them Mexicans. There's the Cerrito checkpoint an hour north of Brownsville, so you have to like casually prove that you're a citizen in your own country when you want to go up north to Corpus or something, to like go to that beach. And so it's a weird feeling, and it took me a while to figure that out, but I subliminally put that in the look of Mashbone. He's just a weirdo out of place, trying to fit in a city that is his.
Dude, holy crap! That maybe that comment isn't so far off that I previously thought, where they were like, this is like the politics and such. Like, this has such a deep layer to it. Holy crap!
Maybe that fool figured it out before I did, because that came about, like, people grilling me about Mashbone and like, why is he like that? It makes no sense, because if you read the book, his look doesn't factor into the comic. It's just, he's just a weirdo. We do have because it's a comic book, and people have been asking us at panels about his origin. Everybody needs an origin story, and if you read the first issue, you read the preview of the first issue, there's no origin. It's like, this is day one of our job. That's how the book starts. There's an origin for him that, man, if we can get to like 50 issues and we're like old men doing this stuff, like maybe we'll finally do like a origin of Mashbone, and then everybody will hate it like they did the Wolverine one. And then 10 years later, everybody will love it, But yeah, right now we're focused on the norm, and I don't even think I really got to it. Mashbone and Grifty. It's a story about two dummies who haven't done shit with their lives and decide to finally get off the pot. They finally are going to do something with themselves, and they always wanted to help people. Their favorite movie is Denim Dakota Dan, this worldwide adventurer, Indiana Jones type. And he's also like a private detective, so they wanted to become private detectives. Now, how they do that, they just print out a shitload of flyers and put them all around town. And hey, we're detectives now. What they didn't count on is the city of New Brownsville is in desperate need of heroes. The cops aren't helping, the government's not helping. There's not danger around every corner, but there certainly is danger. And when people need help, there's nobody to help them. And so when they see that there's someone out there to help them, they're just we need help. We're not gonna look into these guys' credentials. We just need some help. And maybe some of the people who need help can't go to the cops. Case in point, our first issue with Felipe, he can't go to the cops for what he's doing, and so he needs help, and they're gonna help.
I really love the way the story started too. I was under the impression that there was multiple issues, and we talked a little bit. There was like small issues, like you were talking, the Bible size, the manga size ones. But this was like your kind of first step into it. During it though, there was such an interesting segue, and I really loved how you kind of broke away from the main plot, like for like almost like a beeline plot. I don't know if you would call it a beeline plot, but like it felt like your animation history was like really playing into factor there. I don't want to spoil too much, but that scene like was just like, I loved it so much.
Yeah. Which B plot are you referring to? We could talk about like what it was.
Well, I don't know if calling it the B plot was the correct. The detective one where they broke away for the movie or the TV show.
Oh yes. Denim Dakota Dan.
Yes,
that's the dude I was talking about earlier. He is the main influence of Mashbone, or one of the main influences of the Mashbone and Grifty. Why they do what they do. You know, like I said, he's like the Indiana Jones kind of private detective. You know, instead of being a professor like Dr. Jones, he's a private detective, and he goes on these whirlwind adventures. And yeah, we're gonna do that every issue.
That's awesome, dude.
Every issue, we're gonna cut to a clip of a Denim Dakota Dan movie, and what he does, and you'll see how what he says and how he acts and what he does in those movies, how Mashbone and Grifty emulate them.
Oh, okay. So they serve a greater purpose too. I like how it kind of, like I said, was like a nice like little segue, because I wasn't expecting it, and then it was like I just loved how it like flowed, and then it was like it just picked up the next day. It was like perfect. What was some of your inspirations for that?
Easy. The 90s Warner Brothers stuff. The way they flowed in and out of different skits. Animaniacs, Tiny Toons. My personal favorite of all time for those kind of Warner Brothers cartoons, Freakazoid. Freakazoid was so damn good how they did that kind of stuff. There would be like one episode where there's like 6 different stories in a 22-minute story, and they're all just like small chunks, you know? And I love that stuff. There'd be like 2 main Freakazoid cartoons, but then there would be like the Hunter, I think that was his name, and then there was the Lord Bravery, and those were like 2-minute skits where Lord Bravery has to save somebody in a sewer, but he doesn't want to go in the sewer, so because it stinks, so he's convincing the person to like figure out a way to climb up himself, you know, like really stupid stuff. And I just love that flow.
It would be hard to fit that many in like 20-30 minutes, right? Like to fit like 6 like good stories, like 6 stories, let alone, but to make them good as well. Yeah,
but if you do it in the vein of a skit, so you're not coming up with like a full story. If you're doing just like a skit, like a SNL or, you know, a variety hour or whatever, the 2 larger stories can have their beginning, middle, and end. And then the skit can just be like a quick gag, a quick beginning, middle, and end joke. And they're very simple. And that's kind of what we did with what we're doing with Denim Dakota Dan, baby.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I thought it was really interesting. And then when you were mentioning that you had animation background, I was like, dude, like this is perfect. This is almost like hand in hand. Like this would be like a perfect adaptation for an animation.
Thank you. And if you notice, the Denim Dakota Dan panels are done in a V8, like they look like grainy VHS tapes, and they have tracking and all that stuff. And they're done in, the aspect ratio is 1080p for, you know, like it's like the film aspect ratio for those. I might not do that for the remainder of them, but that's the goal, to try to keep those panels looking like movies.
That's so awesome. I love that. So, speaking of everything that goes into this, let's talk a little bit about the creative process. What does that look like between you and the co-creator?
Talking a lot of shit. That's what it is. I mean, the way we make comics is not, I guess, traditionally the way that comics are made. For instance, I'm gonna sign. I can't talk about what it is right now, but I have I'm working on signing a deal with another of a pretty popular comic book writer, and he sent me his script, and I was like, "What is this? This looks like a real like. This looks confidential. This looks like a thing. Like it's weird. Like I felt weird reading it. Like this is like this feels like a real thing. It's weird. The way me and Rolando do it." We talk a lot of shit. We make jokes. We focus on the jokes. Mm-hmm. It has to be funny. Everything or almost everything we have to do in there, it has to land. The joke has to be funny, or at least give you a mild haha in each panel. And then we center our story around a big gag, a big like climactic scene, and then we spread it out from there. And we do have our like our formula, the script formula or whatever. But that doesn't really take shape until we're just talking a lot of shit on a whiteboard, and just trying to make each other laugh. That's the most important thing. I think if I can get Rolando to LOL in real life out loud, then I know that has to go in the book, and vice versa. If he says something that's so ridiculous that I'm laughing out loud, then that's going in the book.
So being the artist, what does it look like taking it from, the shit talking and the scripting to paneling it? Like, how does that process look?
I use my knowledge of just reading a ton of comics as a kid. I break it apart, piece by piece and try to, for my animation background, I try to see it in my head. I try to see the scenes like as an animated short in my head. And because of my animation background, that really helps me. And then I just go for the most extreme poses, the silliest faces. I just turn the volume up. I got a mirror here, so I'm doing the thing that the old timey animators do. Looking at the dumb faces while I draw it.
Oh my God! Did you do the not safe for work poses too?
Well. I got this guy for that. I got this guy. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I definitely take more of an animator's mindset rather than a traditional comic book guy's mindset. I try to go as extreme as possible with the action. There's not a lot of action in the preview page, the previews, the 24-page preview. But there's a ton of action in the next scenes. In the remaining story, there's a ton of action in issue 2. I can guarantee it. I'm drawing that shit right now, and it's pretty bonkers.
Oh, that is so awesome.
I take awesome. my animator brain mostly to try to get the most money shots as possible.
So what I read was the preview. So what are we expecting to release in December? What is what's all happening? What date can we expect, and where can people expect to find it?
Right on. So we have the 24-page preview that was at SDCC. You can actually find it on eBay. Somebody bought a bunch of copies and is flipping them on eBay. That's how you know you're in the right direction.
Yeah,
Somebody looked at that and he's like, I can make some money off this shit. It's like, right on. And it'll be at New York Comic Con as well, the 24-page preview. But the way Scout is doing our stuff, it's Chispa Comics and Scout Comics, and me and Rolando collectively, we are the 5 Meats. We are 5 Meats Comics. That's what the label was before we put the Chispa label on top of it. Those were the old books that we were selling out of the trunk of our car. Now, we like to give the most bang for our buck. So when we were originally selling them, they were 48-page books. The story that's in the preview, the first rule, it's a 48-page story. Every storyline we do is 48 pages, but Scout looked at, and Chispa, they looked at our books and they said, we're not doing floppies. Like this is not floppy stuff. Your stuff should be big and meaty.
Ooh.
So yeah. So we are doing this. Every book that we release is going to be 100 pages. We're releasing 2 a year. So each book will either have 2 48-page stories in it, or they'll have one 100-page story. So the first book that we're going to get this winter, we don't have an exact date yet, but it's called Book 1, Open for Biz. and it's going to have 2 storylines in it. It's going to have the first rule, which is one you were reading, and it's going to have "Are you ready for some death porn?" And then issue 2 is going to have a brand new story that we're making, and then we're spread the older storylines that we have. We're spreading them out, so there'll be a book that we previously drew plus a brand new story.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for anyone that is listening or watching, we will have that link updated whenever we get the link from Oscar. We will have that link in the description below, and then you guys will be able to click that and buy it yourselves. This was a phenomenal read. I highly recommend it. I had the chance to read you said that was the first 24 pages?
Yes, first 24.
And it was phenomenal. I was laughing the entire time. And not only that, but the pacing of it was awesome. It had just the perfect amount of action too. And I can't wait to see like the gore. I know there was a little bit in this part, but you said we could expect some more in future issues.
Yes, fans of wacky old ass gory movies, specifically things like Ricky O. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with that movie. It's nuts, and it's like a Japanese prison movie.
I don't think I'm familiar with it, but
it's nuts.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
No, that is awesome. So before we begin wrapping things up completely, though, what's next for you in the future? Like any other future projects that you can talk about?
Yeah. Well, none specific I can talk about, but they're coming, man. They're coming. I'm working on a deal with another writer to draw their series, and we also have we're gonna do another book for Chispa Comics as well. We're gonna write one. I'm gonna draw it, and Rolano's gonna write it. And also, I also drew a book, not funny, haha, about the current border crisis that's going on, or it's been going on for a while now, and it's called Through Fences, and it'll be out next year. I wrote that with Professor. I didn't write it. I drew it. A UT professor, Frederick Luis Aldama, wrote it, and it's very sad, and everybody should buy it because it's like an important thing to read. Yeah, and it was very much out my comfort zone to draw that kind of stuff, but sometimes you just gotta do some good in this world in between doing the dick and fart jokes.
I was about to just ask you, how was that? Like, it seems like a totally different world for you to draw in.
Yeah, it was not fun. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't funny. It was very depressing because, as an artist, you look for reference, right? So I just had to go through all these articles, reading about what's going on and seeing these awful pictures, of people who look like me are going through all this shit. And they're there's a lot of talk about what they're doing. And right now, it's a bunch of bullshit that's happening where they're being bussed around. They're legal fucking refugees. They go through the legal process, and then Texas fucks them over and ships them off to Martha's Vineyard, and then there are all these rich folks that are helping them there, but that's not always going to last, and it sucks that these people are being used.
And families are getting separated too, right? Like,
yeah.
And all kinds of even darker shit too, way darker shit.
Yeah, and some of that is in that book, and it sucks, and it's good. When I was growing up, and definitely when we were starting this comic book, I wanted to be very closed, very private, and say we're not doing any political stuff. And I'm not gonna even voice my political opinion. We're just here to, make silly books. The problem with that is that there's a lot of people out there who will voice their political opinions, and everybody has the right to do so, but some of the things that they support are really fucked up. So some other people have to come out and be vocal as well. Because if that's the case, then it's just a bunch of loud people saying a lot of heinous shit, and if those are the only voices being screamed, then that becomes oh, maybe everybody feels that way.
Yeah, it's the only voice being heard, right?
Right, and that's not cool. And I'm not here to start a fight or start a debate. F that, I ain't debating. But I'm just here to say my piece, and that comic book, Through Fences, which will be out next year, that's part of that.
Yeah, dude, this seems like a really deep experience for you too, to have to like dig that up and research all that and like, you know, base references off of it.
Yeah, and it's weird because some of it happened in my hometown of Brownsville, Texas, which is the border. And so we have like the real shit that's happening in Brownsville, Texas. Meanwhile, our silly comic book, Mashbone and Grifty, takes place in the fictional town of New Brownsville. So we have our own little not happy, but we have our own little comedic side where we can shoot the breeze a little bit. Although we did get a little deep with some topics in Mashbone and Grifty, but we do it in an inviting and fun way. Hopefully people can maybe think about some stuff afterwards, but if not, if you just want to read this book for the dick and fart jokes, brother, we got them.
Yeah, galore.
And a lot of ridiculous pop culture references too. We talk about there's wrestling in there, there's Star Wars, there's Indiana Jones for that matter. There's a lot of silly pop culture stuff in our books that people can catch. Every book has at least one Big Lebowski reference. See if you can find it.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to reread it and double check it. I love that. Watch it be on like page like 25 or something.
Oh yeah, it might be. I don't remember where it is on that. Oh no, there's one. I think it's page 8.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to reread. I'm gonna have to find it. But with that being said, Oscar, it is time for us to begin wrapping things up. Before we end things completely, though, I always love asking a question in particular because as much as this is a show where we really promote you and your work, I love giving a little bit of a spotlight to anyone who might be starting out for the first time, or maybe it's someone who is just struggling. So with that being said, for anyone who is trying to get their story started, getting their art started, or anything in between, and they're just having trouble getting going, what type of advice would you offer them to help them get motivated?
I would say take breaks. Yeah, take breaks. If you're feeling burnt out, stop. Don't work on that shit because you're burnt out. That's what's up. I'm part of the hustle generation. We're not allowed to have hobbies. They got to be side hustles. And I mean that's exactly what happened here. Like this is becoming a thing. Hopefully it becomes my jobby job. At the moment it kind of is. But yeah, don't burn out. And if you really want to do it, don't listen to people who tell you not to. Just do it. And if you just do a little bit of it at a time, eventually you're going to look back and go, look at all this cool shit I made. Sometimes, in fact, I went out and I met some people last night, actually, and they wanted to see some comics that I do. And so I brought the old original 4 issues and to show them. And they were like, damn, look at all this stuff you made. And when they said that, it really hammered home like, oh, I do have all this stuff. That's pretty cool. Because sometimes you get that feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm still there, to be honest. I'm still in that feeling of like, we haven't really like hit first gear yet or hit second gear. Even after being at Comic-Con next to Marvel, like I still haven't felt, because you moved the goalpost on what success is, And so we did that. And the next goalpost will be seeing our book in a store that I didn't personally go and talk to the manager and say, can I put this on your indie shelf?
I mean, that's going to happen. It sounds like it's bound to happen within months, right?
Yeah, it's official this winter. The files are sent out. That's off my plate now.
Dude, congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. So just don't stop, man. Stop when your body tells you to stop. But in the long run, just keep doing what you want to do, and do it for yourself. Do it to make yourself happy. Don't think about what an audience would like, because I'll tell you right now, like Mashbone and Grifty, we got a deal. We got a national comic book deal now with a really rad publisher, and our books are made to make each other laugh. I try to make Rolando laugh. He tries to make me laugh, and we're like, what is funny? And we're not thinking about an audience because we want them all. We want everybody. Hell, you're probably not listening to this, but if you're like a crazy manga dude, I want you to accidentally read this and fall in love with it. We
got manga people on here too. No worries.
I said maga.
Oh.
If you hate my guts, if you're the type of person that hates me, I want you to accidentally read this book and go, damn, this is some funny stuff.
And if you hate Oscar, you let me know. I'm gonna come at you with the knuckle sandwich.
Oh, it's okay. They can hate me. It's all right.
No,
there's
man,
there's more people out there.
This has been such an awesome conversation. I love that mentality too, you know, because you're literally right next to Marvel, but you came so far from selling it from the trunk of your car, and you're still. I'm in that mentality too. This is interview 182 since February, and I'm still in that mentality. Like I need to make sure I'm on my A game every time. Like I'm nervous every time. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna slip up, even though I've done this so much that it's like I can autopilot it almost.
Yeah, and that's good, man. It keeps you not complacent, which is very good.
What's that saying? The hungry wolf climbing the hill, or the wolf on top of the hill is never as hungry as the wolf climbing the hill. Something like that.
And they're both inside you and they're fighting. Something like that.
With that being said, guys, I think today is a great day for you to stay tuned for what's coming out from 5 Meets Comics later on in December from Scouts Comic. We're going to have that link updated in the description below. With that being said, guys, it is a beautiful time for us to wrap up. I hope you have an awesome day, but most importantly, keep it geekly.